All right, welcome in. Welcome back to Talkin' Trash. This is take two of this episode. I I botched our recording last week, so there was no video last week, but we'll be here good enough. We'll still get something out for the mid-season updates here.
I'm glad you said it was your fault because I was ready to go into it, a couple jokes with it throughout the entire episode, but you just kind of put it out there flat.
Yeah, I mean I could have uploaded the video of me talking and then your mouth moving with no audio, but I figured it'd be
Just
better to
learn how to do closed captioning, try
yeah.
to read lips.
If we can get anyone for subtitles, that'd be great.
There's a lot of things that we should get right now. But anyway, hi, welcome on in for the next episode.
So first thing I want to jump into some of the big news over the past few weeks since we released our spring preview episode. Of course, the big news that happened about mid last week was mangakas Kana Hoshino and Kentaro Miura, famous for the Berserk manga, both died at age 57.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's I remember it was just hitting social media so hard, especially because I think what we were seeing, especially when it comes to like someone like the person, I'm sorry, their name is escaping me. We can probably get the answer to it later on, but the mangaka for Hunter x Hunter, there's somebody who is eternally sick, and that's why it's gotten dubbed the nickname hiatus because the guy is just constantly getting sick, and it's almost like a worrying trend to see someone like 57 isn't that old,
Not at all.
so
No.
for someone who I feel like he's still trying to see his like project through and trying to, be able to see where it kind of takes it. It's sad and it's worrying if this is a trend that could continue, but obviously we mourn the loss of them both,
Mhm.
and I think many of us are going to be trying to start Berserk after that.
Yeah, Yoshihiro Togashi is the Hunter x Hunter mangaka, and yeah, I saw a lot of people saying like they're probably not as comfortable making those hiatus jokes anymore. Kind of seeing where some issues of like actual real health issues of
Yeah.
these human beings and these great minds.
And then the worry is that you probably have someone like Oda as well, who is already 1,000 chapters into One Piece. Like
Mhm.
there's obviously the worry that people aren't going to be able to see through their works because we're at this like deadline, especially with something like One Piece where it comes out. I think now it's every other week, but it used to be every week, and now
Mhm.
like I think they're getting a little bit better with things, but you really do see this like deadline mentality that is just being forced in the anime and the manga industry, and it's worrying for the future, especially with I remember I saw a statistic that over half of the anime that has been made ever has come in the last 11 years. So you can see the amount of effort that's being put out to create this content. And if you're doing all this, imagine what the crunch time is like for these people. So it's a
Mhm.
scary idea that we could possibly be getting into, but I don't want to make it sound somber. I want to remember Kentaro for what he did. I want to remember the works that he did because there is a lot of memory to Berserk for a lot of people.
Yeah, for sure. Then the more lighter side, more maybe exciting news. We have a lot of sequels that were announced over the past few weeks. The Sailor Moon movie slated for June 3rd. It's coming to Netflix. Jobless Reincarnation and Komi Can't Communicate are both coming in October of 2021. Made in Abyss Season 2 was announced for 2022. Dragon Ball Super is getting another movie in 2022. And Overlord got a Season 4 end movie announced. I didn't see a date on those, but those are both on the way as well.
Yeah, the Overlord one definitely catches me off guard. It's one of those shows that I remember enjoying at the start, and after I think there's just sometimes with anime where they go too long between their sequels, and you
Yeah.
kind of just forget the plot of like what was happening or like the things like that. Like I think the best example I can think of in recent years was the Irregular Magical High School, where I watched season one a second year at college, and then the sequel came out last year. So there's been about a 6 year gap, and I remember not knowing what was going on, and then just like not wanting to drop it. So the
Mhm.
Overlord one definitely catches me off guard. I know I'm looking forward to the Sailor Moon movie, and for those who don't know, the Sailor Moon movie is going to be a direct continuation from Sailor Moon Crystal, which was the 50 episode pretty much redo in a little bit more of like a 3D CGI kind of way. So some people were kind of put off by it, but it's going to be a direct following from that in terms of the original storyline. So it's going to cover like one of the arcs in the movie is what the trailer seems to be like, but I am very excited for that in case you can't tell.
Yeah, the Overlord news caught me off guard. I also didn't realize it until I was writing it down in our doc that it was a season 4 and a movie announcement. I at first thought it was just season 4. But yeah, I get you on forgetting what was happening. It just happened last season for me with Log Horizon. I had no idea where they left off. Um,
That's another one.
so
That's
yeah,
definitely another
I'm
one.
sure I'm gonna be lost. I already can't remember what the last thing that happened in Overlord was. I can only remember Isekai Quartet at this point, but it should still
To
be
be fair,
fun.
I don't know if you can remember what you did last week outside of botch the recording.
Yeah, that's about it. That's pretty much haunting me.
Anyway, in other news,
Few new things as well. All of those were I guess they were all sequels except for Comey Can't Communicate. But I know Chainsaw Man is the other really big name that people are looking forward to. I think we're gonna get some more news on that for the Mappa stage event on June 27th.
which as of recording is now exactly a month away, so we're counting down the days.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm excited for that. I think based on the talk I've seen in the community, it could end up with like Jujutsu Kaisen levels of excitement and hype. I haven't read it myself, but it does seem like it's gonna be a pretty legit show.
Started having interest in it, I think I've been going to Barnes and Noble a lot more to buy physical copies of manga because I want to. I started to get to this point where I want to support the anime industry a little bit more instead, and so I'm trying to like spend the money to support the people that I appreciate their creations for. And I think the last time I went there, I literally stared at the Chainsaw Man volumes and I was like, I think they only had volume 2 for some reason, but if they had volume 1, I might have actually bought it because I'm starting to like feel like, yeah, I'm gonna give it a shot.
Then in other manga news, Welcome to the NHK. The novel for that got its first new story in 20 years, which
On the topic of
it's
things that,
yeah, talking about a major gap between releases that came out of nowhere.
yeah.
And then Chojin X is a new manga that just began publishing by the same creator as Tokyo Ghoul, which is another one. I mean, I heard great things about the manga, but I watched the anime, so I don't know how to feel about
To be fair, the
Chojin
first
X.
season of the anime is good.
I
Just
even
we
then I
like to
thought it was
forget everything.
mediocre.
Okay, okay. I
I
guess I
never
guess
loved
good isn't
Tokyo
the
Ghoul.
right word. I guess good isn't the right word. Let's go with it was good for 8 years ago.
When your qualifier is all right, I guess good isn't the right word. That's that says all we need to know.
Yeah. Let's just hope that this one goes better.
Just,
Obviously, as long as it sells the way that it did for Tokyo Ghoul, they're gonna be
mhm.
happy. But like, oof,
Yeah, I'm
I want
sure
it
the
to be like
manga
more.
will be big. I'm sure the manga
Oh
will
yeah.
blow up because the Tokyo Ghoul fans, even like the manga, they seem very happy with still. In the preview of the season, I mentioned some odd hollow live alternative, whatever was going on. I still don't really know what it is, but I've seen now that it's getting a manga and they're trying to make it some sort of metaverse where YouTubers can appear at like online events and in games or something. I feel
I
like
need you.
it's just like a I don't know, like a VTuber MMO or like a VR chat or something.
I need you to know that I kid you not. Last night I was talking to an artist about possibly getting a VTuber avatar. So just catch me out here in the Hollow Live right now. I'll just get there real quick.
Yeah. I knew that getting a VTuber uh I don't know what to call it, Avatar. A VTuber
Avatar, yeah.
avatar was something that was on your mind, and I don't know, I look forward to your video game debut, I guess,
Yeah.
and your
You
manga
know, me and
debut.
yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, it's not gonna look very much different. It's not gonna be a different character entirely, so they're just gonna write about me.
some more kind of fun news, Anohana is releasing a 10-year project, something in the anime. It's been a bit since I've seen it, but towards the end, they do say, "I believe we will meet in August 10 years later." So it's kinda fun that 10 years of real time, they're gonna drop something in August. They did release a, promotional image of all of the characters just aged up 10 years, kind of in the same location and stuff as the original promotional art, so I thought that was really fun.
Yeah, and I know that's something that you're looking forward to. Like, if you, I don't know. Would you put Anohana on like your top three in terms of like anime of all time? Because like I
Ah,
know you talk about Anohana a lot, so I'm sure this is something that like, def- and it's funny because I'm the slice of life shoujo girl here,
mhm.
so it's funny that this is right up your alley.
Yeah, I wouldn't consider it in my top 3 all time. Maybe top 3, like, I don't wanna call it romance, it's not romance, but, like, slice of life or, like, just a drama. It was definitely the most emotional I felt watching an anime. It still stands as that even though I watched it, like, 6, 7 years ago at this point. And then the final bit of news we have on the block here is the Demon Slayer Mugen Train movie, which we have now both recently seen, became the number 1 movie in the world, which is the first time that a non-Hollywood movie has done that. I also believe I don't remember if it's number 1 or number 2 right now, but it just passed a whole lot of all-time anime movie sales records.
Yeah, I mean, this thing is doing incredibly. I think what also helps it is that like if you look at like something like the My Hero movies that they had in theaters, they weren't available in every theater. Like I feel like this
Yeah.
one was more widely available for people, so I think that definitely helped it. But I think it's a great trend to be able to see because I think we're getting to the point right now where we're starting to again have anime. I think it was like a TikTok even I was watching where the guy said that you're almost in the minority if you're not watching anime and you're still focused on, no offense to anybody, but you're still focused on Criminal Minds and Grey's Anatomy. Like you
Mhm.
see like there's almost a thing out there for everybody. And obviously the widely popular ones that we're going to be seeing are the typical shonens because they're the ones that are going to sell the most and
Mhm.
they're the ones that are going to have the best merch sales and things like that. But I think it's a really good trend for us to be able to see, and I'm excited I'm excited for Demon Slayer. I don't think it's the best anime out there, but
Yeah.
I'm glad that something is at least hitting that threshold right now.
Yeah, it's interesting too because 'cause you're starting to see a trend of shows having actual, like, canon sequel movies. Uh, Broly, a year or 2 ago for Dragon Ball Super finally became canon. I just said that there's gonna be another Super movie next year. Um, Made in Abyss, the movie was complete canon.
Yeah, and the Sailor Moon movie is doing the same thing that Demon
Yeah.
Slayer did, where it's a continuation from
Mhm,
the season that ended, and then it goes into this movie. And it's interesting because like I feel like some of the arcs, maybe their rationale is that it's better in like a 2-hour movie than, let's say doing the entire arc in like a 12 episode span. But I think it's a great approach, especially because I haven't got like I obviously COVID, but I haven't gone to the
yeah.
movies in 3, 4 years. So even before that, I still wasn't going. So this got me to go to the movies.
Yeah, and I think it's a trend we'll keep seeing, especially seeing how well they're doing. I know Jujutsu Kaisen is another one slated to have a movie release as a sequel. It's a little annoying to, have to either wait a really long time or go pay to see the movie, but I think the quality is noticeable. These movies have been
I agree.
fantastic.
Yeah. And I think movie budgets obviously like if
Yeah.
anybody who hasn't seen the movie yet, like if and you've seen an anime movie before, you know how anime movie budget is different than anime show budget. and you can definitely see it in some of the animations, the fight scenes, just like certain things you go, yeah, that would not have been able to happen if that was in a 12 episode thing. So I think it's definitely worth the watch and just being able to take it in as like an anime movie. Granted, at this point you're gonna have to wait probably until it's out in
Mhm.
regular distribution.
And with that, we're going to jump into some of the updates on those categories that we made predictions on at the beginning of the season here. I want to start with the sleeper of the season, your most underrated show, something that's maybe not getting enough attention. You had initially picked Higehiro, correct?
Yes. And I it's funny because when we recorded last week, I was still very firmly on that. This week's most recent episode gave me very I don't know how I feel vibes. I still really like it. I still very much get emotional watching it, and there's moments there. I think the difficulty is, again, for those who don't know, it's literally in the title because it's like I shaved and then picked up a high school runaway. Like the premise is this guy is taking care of this girl that ran away from home. And so obviously there's a little bit of an age gap. And so there's definitely moments that borderline on the uncomfiness, but I feel like there's just so much emotion and it feels like they're almost trying to force this like I you don't want to be able to figure out what kind of vibe it's getting at, but outside of that, I think it's fantastic.
Okay, so you are sticking with it as your sleeper.
Yeah.
I still
Mhm.
haven't picked it up because I read the title and got that uncomfiness.
Well, if you want uncomfiness, wait till I get to my overrated.
Mm. My sleeper initially was Mars Red. I'm going to stick with it, but strictly on the basis of it being a sleeper, it being underrated, and no one talking about it. I still think that the soundtrack and the not necessarily the animation, but the art and the way that each like still looks, the visuals are phenomenal. I don't think it's a top 5 show this season, so I'm not saying you have to go run and watch it. But once you get to the like seasonal anime list on whatever website you use, once you start scrolling down, that's a show that I think should stand out amongst some of the other shows that are being talked about in the same vein.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like you said, it's definitely not a show that's on a lot of people's list. And on top of that, like, if you really are to search right now, it's not getting the greatest of reviews. So it's obviously you have the personal bias due to the art direction and the person who created it. But currently on my anime list, there's about 80,000 people that have added it to their list in some capacity. So there's a good amount of people. But when you look at something, let's just do VV's Fluorite, where there's another 100,000 more people that have added it to the list. So there's a
Hmm.
significant gap in people who are watching it compared to some of the more popular ones that are being
Mhm.
talked about.
And I feel like I don't know, maybe it's a little too late. I think if Mars Red came out like 10, 15 years ago, you have just like it's all about these plays, these stage plays and vampires and there's some like royal families going on. I think this would have been like Black Butler levels of popular if it came out just an era ago.
And you know what's funny about it even more? I'm looking at the reviews that people made right now on Mars Red for my anime list, and the top 4 reviews, the lowest score is a 7. There's a 9, a 9, a 7, and a 10. So like the
Mhm.
people who are giving it a legitimate shot seem to be really praising it, but I guess the people that can't look past certain things or why its score is going lower.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a like a top tier show, but I do encourage you to watch episode 1 at the very least. I was very impressed by, like I said, at least just the art and the soundtrack were phenomenal. And that'll bring us to the most overrated shows of this season. I initially went with the Shaman King remake. It is the only show this season that I am not caught up to. I said that when we recorded last week. A new episode has come out today. and now I am an extra episode behind because I have not watched it in the last week. Although I don't know if it's being talked about enough to call it overrated. I feel like nobody actually cares about it. I think the anime community collectively
I
was just like, nah.
again, on things that happened 20 years too late or out of date. It's funny because again, I'm gonna bring it back up because it's something else that I talked about when we tried to record the first time. Was the thing about like a remake or an anime that was a little bit older that's coming out now is that some try to at least change a little bit of it to sort of adapt to modern times. Like I look at Parasite, for example, where that or that manga was written in the 80s, and you can see it in some of the panels that there's old school Walkman that they're using, and they adapt it to maybe like a headphones or something like that that feels a little bit more up to date. But Shaman King just feels very stuck in its own time, and it's very
Yeah.
awkward to watch.
Yeah. But that being said, not that I'm enjoying it, I stand by my original prediction, but I don't know if I can call it overrated. So I'm going to shift to 86. I just feel that I get bad vibes from it, very similar vibes that I got from like Sword Art Online, where it feels like it's surface level, very cool, and a great concept, but something seems off. Like it's trying too hard to be dark and cool and edgy, and trying to
I
make Undertaker and these characters like too strong or too noble, and I just feel like it could be a train wreck down the line here.
And it's funny because again, obviously we're in the mid-season part of it, and so I know I've watched all 7 episodes that have currently aired of it right now,
Mhm.
and you can even get that sort of vibe from it that it don't like, especially like the most recent episode, the stuff that they talked about. I think I wouldn't call it my overrated just because I am still very interested in the relationship aspect. I think again, there's just a different focus between you want to see like the characters do things, and I think one of the biggest appeals to it is it was supposed to be this like futuristic sci-fi mech thing, but the mech doesn't seem to be the main focus these days. It
Mm.
feels more like it's the relationship aspect, which for me is what's keeping me interested.
Yeah, like I said, I think the concept is there. I just something about the art and the way the characters interact and the style of it, just it doesn't feel like something that is deserving of the praise it's gotten, at least in my mind.
Yeah. And for my overrated, I'm going to talk about Koi Kimo because again, let's just let's just read the synopsis here. People fall in love in mysterious ways. Okay, cool. Only this one is this 30-year-old playboy businessman falling in love with a high school girl. And that's
Yeah.
the whole love story.
That's
And
ridiculous. That is way too young for that businessman.
uh-huh.
Usually they're around
I was
60.
talking and it's funny because I was talking with my friend, and there's another character that's like the rival love interest, and we talked about how we find ourselves rooting for that kid because they're actually a kid, they're actually in high school for the sake. But like I don't even want to watch it. It's the one anime that like I piled up 4 episodes on to try to watch along with my dumpster fire, but I got through them all, and the only thing that kept me going was the opening. If you want like a bop of an opening, that's something you got to listen to.
That's I will say I don't skip any Boruto intros. Sometimes the openings they get you. I have to ask, is the rival blue haired?
No.
Oh, okay.
Everyone has like normal colored hair.
All right. As long as he doesn't have blue hair, he has some semblance of hope.
I feel like it's the other way around. You're supposed to have colored hair to be the protagonist or the character that's like otherwise you're just a forgotten side character with normal hair.
Tell that to Rem and who's the one from Darling in the Franxx? That Ichigo? I didn't watch
Yeah,
that show.
sure, we'll go with that. No, I watched it and I'm still confused with what I saw. That's one of those shows. I know it's not airing right now, but I just want to take a moment. That was one
Thank
of those
God.
shows where it was like same thing with like Gurren Lagann, where like there's 24 episodes. The first 21, I'm like, okay, there's pacing. The last three, I just go, what the fuck happened?
Aliens.
Yes, aliens, exactly.
Uh, last week we tried to play some games. The first question I asked you was for your waifu of the season, but then we realized that I'm pretty sure every female this season is a minor, so we skipped right over
Yeah.
that real quick.
We're gonna quickly skip over that one. Maybe we'll
Yep.
do that next season when there's not all minors. Who's your
uh,
favorite waifu? Is it this high school girl from My Hero, or is it this high school girl that currently doesn't work any jobs?
yeah, no, thank you. And then for husbando of the season, I just went with the lead of Mars Red. I mean, I talked about the whole Twilight Black Butler vibes going on. You got to take the main character of whatever series that happens to be.
And for my husbando, it's gonna be Yoshida from Higahiro. It's just one of those things that I feel like he at least gives off that like fatherly husbando vibe right now, and it's one of those I there's a lot of emotion coming through for him, and I like it. I do like it, but again, it's kind of borders vibes of I don't know how I feel.
I love fatherly husbando vibes. Like you could just call him daddy if you want. That's fine. You don't
I'm
have to
not
get
into
too
that. I'm
wordy.
gay.
And then I'll wait. I won't reveal the name of it again, just in case you happen to forget, because it's possible. Ran something by you trying to guess the show based on a few statistics from various websites. The show has a popularity ranking this season on my anime list of 18th, 22nd on Annie list, and 15th on Kitsu. However, based on score, it is the 8th ranked show across the board on all three websites. Do you remember what the show was?
Uh, I could not even take a guess on it. I imagine it was I think I remember you saying it was a sequel of something that I've never watched, and that's the extent of it.
Yep, that's how big it is. I've already revealed the answer to you, and you've already tossed it out. It's something that I think neither of us are
True.
watching, but has to be talked about as just not getting the attention it apparently deserves. It is Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun, second season.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
I just remember Crunchyroll and Verve pushing ads of it like every single ad break before I paid for premium. And every time I saw an ad, I was like, wow, this looks terrible. It looks so flat, so bland, just another isekai. Like, I don't even think the main character has detail. It looks like a Lego piece for his hair.
Yeah, it's I've been trying to move away from watching an isekai season, but I also feel like you have to watch an isekai season at this point. And that's just one that I never wanted to get interest. I don't know, like the whole like a demon lord, like again, like Overlord, again, like
Yeah.
OP Lord character. Like I don't know, I've stopped having an interest in that. But apparently, other people have it, and it's one of the highest rated ones when you watch it.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking at the cover image right now, and it just looks terrible. It it does not look good. But I mean, guess that's why we can't judge a book by its cover, because apparently it's being received pretty well.
By the people who are watching.
All 10 of them.
Hey, that's probably still more than you're getting out of Mars,
It is. It definitely is.
right?
All right, on to the dumpster fires of the season. You kind of teased yours before, so I'll let you kick this off with what yours was. I don't remember what yours was in the initial predictions episode.
I think it was the same one if we look right now. Yes, it or no. Yep, it is. It is. It is. And you don't want to know? I'm sticking with it because Nagatoro makes me more uncomfortable than anything else I've talked about already so far. Nagatoro is just middle school bullying in the anime, but like torturing the kid because they're the nerdy kid. They're pretty much most of the people that we probably grew up talking to. Let's be honest here.
It's fair.
That kid that didn't have, we didn't. that was sitting there. They were talented in like their own thing, but then the one girl who I remember this same thing happened, even like for me in like middle school and stuff like that, where I was obviously not the kid that was very well liked. And then there was the one girl that was a little bit more popular. She came up to me, and I couldn't tell if she was being serious about anything that she was doing, or if she was just trying to rile me up and see and laugh at me. And that's pretty much what this anime is. And they try to give like once every 4 episodes to give you 5 minutes of hope that it's gonna be a moment. But I it's like episodic, and and like when I say episodic, I mean like they cut the episode into like two different parts,
Yeah, the same
and
style as
each yeah
Kaguya-sama, if you've seen that, where it's 2 or 3 episodes in 1 episode.
yeah. So like it doesn't feel like anything that I watch matters outside of like the 5 little minutes that I kind of like, which was the development of the relationship. But otherwise, it's just kind of uncomfy high school
Mhm.
bullying.
Yeah, I do think it has been slowly improving where you kinda see the relationship development a little more predominant than it was in the beginning, but there are definitely still parts where it's uncomfortable, and the first few episodes in the entire runtime, all of episode 1 was, like, difficult to sit through.
Yeah, episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, and then I dropped it. I could not get through 3 episodes.
And my dumpster fire is kind of all over the place. I believe I picked 86 initially as my dumpster fire. I don't wanna double down on that as my overrated and my dumpster fire. The worst thing that I'm actually watching this season is Burning Comedy, but I feel like that's a cheap way out of picking the sports anime about a very obscure sport that is popular in, like, one country. I
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I can't disagree with
that it
that.
just feels cheap, like
But again, there's still probably like the same amount of people watching that as your top one. So there is some interest.
um, I did also call The World Ends With You, the animation would shit the bed after the drummer for their theme song got arrested, and it has the animation in the name, and it's by Square Enix. There was enough wrong with it where I didn't wanna give it a try, and it looks like it's being received pretty terribly. The
Yeah, and doesn't do it any favors. I'm probably now not even gonna want to give it any more of a try. Not that I had any sort
No,
of interest before.
no, it has not been an encouraging 7 weeks. And the other one I have listed as a potential is Nagatoro. Like, I might be with you on that if it's just I don't know, I was excited going into the season because of just seeing it through memes. I never read it, but like Komi-san, it's been all over the place, and I felt obligated to watch it, but it honestly
And
is
that's
not
fair.
there.
There's there was definitely a lot of hype for it. Like I was excited for it, but I think what I'm learning about the hype that I have for things is that I quickly read like the synopsis and don't really like let it sit in because I was trying to find everything that I wanted to watch, and I can definitely see how I probably wouldn't have enjoyed some of the things that I was watching if it wasn't for the fact that I'm trying to watch it for the sake of the show and to be able to give you all different like perspectives on things like that.
Yeah, that if we weren't doing Talking Trash and there weren't a ridiculous amount of memes on the series, I would not still be watching it. It's more curiosity on the memes and being able to have input here that's keeping me around. For anime of the season, I initially picked Vivi Fluorite Eyes song. I don't know if I'm sticking with it or not. I've been flip flopping a lot between that and To Your Eternity. I think I am sticking with Vivi. I think it has been a fantastic ride. I have seen people now comparing it to Vocaloid Terminator, which only makes me enjoy the series more, to be quite honest.
What a name!
Because
What a name!
it is just those 2 words, and it is a perfect summary of what you're watching. Like, I can't even critique that at all. It is Vocaloid Terminator. But it has been wonderful. There are some really, really beautiful shots in the series. It at times looks gorgeous, and the fight choreography is way better than it has any right to be. I never expected the fight choreography to be at the level it is. And then To Your Eternity, I know we're both watching.
Yeah,
I've
and you know,
really
it's one
enjoyed
oh,
it, but it has some
yeah.
slower parts and some really, really amazing parts. If you go
You
ahead.
know, the thing about To Your Eternity too is that it's that one anime where I know I have to turn off literally everything that I'm
Yeah.
doing because I need to focus on it. I don't know if it's a lack of interest or I know I'm going to get distracted because there's so much going on that I have to focus on it, but it's one of those anime that I still look forward to every episode and I'm really interested. It's being called like the next big epic, and I know we touched on it when we tried to record last week, where it's going to be something that we're going to be talking about into the next season of anime. 'Cause it's not ending this time. There's like 20 episodes of it here,
Yeah.
so we're going to have more time to be able to see everything about it. But I don't think anybody would disagree with, or I don't think anybody's going to complain that you're putting that at your anime of the year or season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it might contest for anime the season next season just because it's gonna bleed into it. I
Yeah,
am curious to see what next season has to offer, but I really, really think it's gonna be tough to beat out To Your Eternity.
yeah, and that is very, very understandable to be able to say that. Like, it's highly rated on everything. People are very talkative towards it, you know, even the hype after just one episode.
Mhm,
Also, just want to take a moment and say I love when I recognize an anime music artist or a music artist in Japanese. And Utada Hiraku is the one that does the opening for To Your Eternity, which, if you've ever played any Kingdom Hearts game, it's that person who sung the songs there. So like right there, that even generated me more hype because I can just hear the like Kingdom Hearts vibes in the song and it brings me back. So there's a lot of like good things that are going for it outside of just like the actual anime, like as a whole production. It's exciting.
and I love Fushi. I have so much fun watching him. I think he's a hilarious main character. It's
It's
awesome.
definitely one of the most unique ones out there.
For sure.
Yeah. And for my anime of the season, every episode that I watch, I just more and more stick with this. It's Fruits Basket final season. It's it's crazy because like I didn't watch the original Fruits Basket that aired when like we were all in middle school, and I know a lot of people or not also watched it. But from what I've also heard, like the mangaka didn't like that one because it felt like it didn't do finish it fully, and they didn't get the like full direction that she wanted out of it. And we're getting that right now with how this is now a 3 season arc and everything like that. We now know how it's only going to be like another 13. It's only 13 episodes, and we're through most of it. But there's just so much emotion, and it's not just feeling like what I thought it would be when I started it. And I I talk. This is the one that my friend and I watch a lot together, and whenever like one of us watches it, we are like start talking about it. She has read the manga, and so I'll say something, and then she'll just be like sipping her tea, like, "Yep, can't wait for you to see what happens next." And yeah, we're definitely hitting that point right now where I am just like, "Oh my god!" Every episode.
Actually, I went to get bubble tea at Kung Fu Tea again yesterday.
I love that for you.
Seeing the poster with the Fruits Basket characters on it and the sticker they're giving out, kind of reminded me that I still need to get on that and watch that. I also never watched the original. I will say that seeing the official like promotional artwork and cover images for the original versus seeing the
Oh
new
yeah.
series one, it looks I thought it was like a school rumble kind of thing, like kind of funny rom-com from the mid 2000s. And now I see it and the shit looks dark. It looks like I feel emotional looking at just the cover photo at this point. It's
I mean,
so much different than I thought.
the opening song for it literally starts with like rain and like nighttime, like dreary sky, and it really does set the tone early on for it, for how things are gonna feel at times.
Yeah, I mean it. the cover image looks ridiculous. It looks like a I don't
Mhm.
even know, like a like a dark Steins Gate. But
Dark Steins Gate.
it man, I don't know. It's like what is it, 19th on my anime list right now? It is ranked 19th on Mal.
Yeah, it's almost got a 9. It
Ooh.
literally almost has a 9 right now in terms of its rating. It is definitely the highest rated airing anime right now.
Mhm.
And your next closest is To Your Eternity. So
Yeah.
we went basic here, but at the
Mhm.
very least, I know Fruits Basket's final season isn't being watched nearly as much as To Your Eternity. So that's partially why the scaling is a little bit up there because
Yeah.
yeah, if you take a look at like the numbers right now, again, just off of my anime list, there's 361,000 people that have added To Your Eternity to their list compared to the
Ooh.
150,000 for Fruits Basket. So there's a 200,000 gap,
Mhm.
but again, it's still kind of telling that it's doing as well as it is.
Yeah, you're always gonna see sequels, rated a little off
So you
because the
say
people
that,
watching them are the fans, but I mean, that high is something special.
yeah. And but like you say that because like for something like My Hero, where it's the highest airing or it's the highest viewed one that's airing right now, and it's not doing great in
No.
comparison, which is something I talked about in like the previous season or our previous episode, that it's the one anime or it's the one season that I think is probably going to be the lowest rated one. Currently, it's sitting at a 7.5. Season 4 was an 8, and then you go even further back to season 3. That one was an 8.2. Season 2 was an 8.26, and then season 1 was an 8. So
Wow.
it's the only one that's sitting not in the eights right now, and it's a pretty significant gap for still 500,000 people watching it.
Mhm. And I haven't thought it's that bad either. Like,
No, I don't think it's bad.
I don't know.
I think the arc that it's covering right now isn't necessarily getting as much interest because some of the things that happen with My Hero are is that like you have the one arc that accelerates the plot, and then you have the school part. And the school part, I
Yeah.
feel like some people just don't have as much excitement for. Like, just think about season 4 where they did the whole festival arc and stuff like that. It's just like
Or season 3 where
there
they
was
did that festival arc, or season 2 where they did that festival arc, and
I meant all right. I meant there was an actual festival though with the music and
Mhm.
stuff like that, but still.
Yeah, they started off with the training session arc. I don't know what the second half of the season is gonna be, but I hope it is a little more plot relevant.
I do too. And again, for someone who reads the manga on a weekly basis and knows what's going on, I still very much look forward to seeing certain things develop, especially knowing things what's going to be happening. But I kind of had this feeling going into it that it was probably going to be one of the more forgettable seasons.
Alright, and that'll do it for us, unless you have any other final thoughts.
Watch Fruits Basket.
I don't know if that's for me, the fan, but but we'll get on it.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see
Have a
you
good one.
in a few weeks when we wrap up the spring season and tell you that Baeginning was right the whole time and Fruits Basket's the best show this season. Bye.
Bye.